All right, we're back today with Josh Williams, president of Accutech Security, and today we're talking about a really important topic, reliability. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Amy.
When we talk about reliability at Accutech, what does that really mean beyond just system uptime?
When we talk about reliability, we have very specific use cases. We're keeping wandering or patients that are at risk of wandering safe, and we're keeping infants safe from abduction. And that doesn't just mean that the system is up and running and the lights are blinking. It means that every single time you're preventing an elopement, and every single time you're preventing that baby from leaving that
Mm.
secured perimeter without authorization. All the time, every time, zero failures.
How should dealers explain that difference between a system that appears secure and one that actually prevents incidents?
There are some systems out there that maybe come from businesses that aren't truly focused like we are on infant security and water
Mhm.
management that have designed their system that gives the perception of security without the reality and reliability of protecting those patients. And so when you talk about that or when you look at that, the devil's in the detail. Is the door going to lock every single time? Is an alert going to be generated in an appropriate amount of time to prevent an event rather than notify you that a tragic event has already
Right.
occurred? That's what we're talking about with reliability.
So I know dealers often face pressure to value engineer systems. How do you recommend that they push back on that?
I wouldn't necessarily say we want to push back on value engineering a system. We want to push back on value engineering a system that sacrifices security in the
Mm,
interest of cause.
sure.
And really, again, the devil's in the details. Okay. You can value engineer a system by strategically selecting pathways, ingress and egress points that still provide a robust and complete area of coverage while reducing the overall cost of the system. Where you get into trouble is when all they're worried about is cost, and they're willing to do that in exchange for a lack of coverage. And the way you can help your clients understand that is when you see an area of risk be introduced by a proposed modification to the original system design, discuss specifically what that risk exposes them to. And is it worth saving a couple hundred or a couple $1,000 to put your patients at risk?
In a worst case scenario, like a network or a system failure, what happens in an Accutech system versus a typical competitor?
Yeah, by design, we do that a little bit differently. Specifically, when you're talking about our infant protection systems, it's hardware dependent and software additive. And what that means is if your network goes down, if your wireless infrastructure goes down, if your PC goes down, those infants are still protected. And what we realize is if your wireless goes down or your network goes down, there's a lot of things that are affected in that hospital and
Mm,
attention. And we wanted to design this system in such a way that infant protection wasn't one of the things you needed to worry about.
yeah.
And so it's going to be up and running. Your infants are going to be protected. You can still admit and discharge babies, and you're going to be just fine.
What role do the dealers play in maintaining the reliability standard that Accutech is known for?
I think a lot of it comes down to for a dealer is that system design that we talked about before and making sure that when you're laying out a system, you're providing adequate coverage. When you're laying out a system, you're protecting all potential ingress and egress points and you're educating the client not only on what the system can do, but the best way to employ it to provide that secure environment. Additionally, I think you can educate yourself or lean on Accutech to educate yourself on some of the differences between our system and the way we do things and our competitors'
Sure.
systems. So you can clearly explain to them some of the trade offs they'd experience when not choosing Accutech.
How does staying committed to reliability ultimately benefit the dealers in the long run?
Reputation. That's it. We partner with integrators that have local presence. And when you have a local presence, your reputation spreads very, very quickly. And while value engineering something that provides limited protection or selling a product that gives the perception of security, but not real security,
Mhm.
might get you a win in the short term, it's going to damage your long-term reputation when that hospital or long-term care facility is exposed to a critical failure as a
Mhm.
tragic incidents happen. Ultimately, we'd rather walk away from a deal and we'd rather have our dealers walk away from a deal that's going to expose the patients that we're expected to protect to risk rather than win it and have something bad happen.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Josh. I appreciate your time today, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks.